taking, this is our time. Just breathe, this will be a hard fight. The truth cash out in the night.
What's up, Johnny? How's it going, buddy?
Richard Farabee, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Let's throw my whole name out there. All of a sudden, I'm going to get a lot of friend requests.
What are you talking about? People don't. You don't tell people your last name.
I didn't for a long time, but then people would just throw it out there. So,
and, yeah, the reason why we're talking about this is, and I didn't know this. Our guest tonight, Vic Cundiff, he's gone, as he's explained, he's gone through a little bit of effort, I guess, to keep his identity concealed and where he's from and all that. Richard asked him, where he was from. I didn't realize this. So that is very interesting. I've been listening to Vic for years. When I first got involved in this topic, obviously, if you listen to anything dealing with Bigfoot, you're going to come up, Dogman stuff's going to pop up. Correct. So I've listened to Vic for a while, and then Vic had me on his podcast, 2 different episodes here, I guess the past month or whatever. And he was generous enough to repay the favor and come on. So I'm excited about this one. We normally, we normally don't talk about Dogman, but we're doing it tonight. So.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows me, and I'm based in Bigfoot. That's what I do. That's what I research. That's what I like to stay with and stuff like that. And hold on, let me recognize somebody in the chat room. They know who they are. But anyways, like you said, doing this with Bigfoot and all that, you're going to run across Dogman stuff. And I'm not a big Dogman guy, and I've always said it's because my plate is full. I got so much on my plate with Bigfoot, I don't want to add more on the plate. And then I always say that it's one of those things that I really, in my heart, don't want it to exist, because that would be absolutely frightening to come across something like that in the woods. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I've always said that personally, I've never had any experiences that I know with these creatures, but some of the best, if they were real, some of the best pictures I've ever seen of a cryptid were of a Dogman. And the story that went along with it was just over the top awesome, and the origin of everything and the property. I hope to God it's real, just because of that story and the pictures, because they were super cool, man. But other than that, I don't really go down that direction very much. You want to bring Vic on? Let him tell us why he went down the direction he did.
Absolutely. Hey, Vic, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh, fair to middling. How about yourself?
Hanging in there. Life is good. It's cold here in South Florida, believe it or not. It's it's supposed to be down in the low 40s, so I'm trying to keep warm as possible in the house.
Yeah, that's about all you can do. It's that time of year, even in where you live in Florida.
I almost had him say
it. No, I wasn't going to slip up like that. I was trying to remember if you said North or South Florida, but I thought, okay, it can't be that cold in South Florida.
No, I'm actually considered South Florida. Now, I'm born and raised here, 4th generation Floridian, and I literally consider myself Central Florida. But on the map, I'm actually considered South Florida, because I'm about an hour and a half straight south of Orlando.
Wow.
Where Orlando would be considered central. But we do get cold temperatures. I camped out a couple years ago, and it got down to, I think it was 29 degrees or something like that while I was camping.
Wow. Yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah, it is. So, Vic, I don't know anything about your origin story, and I don't know, do other people know, or at least how you got involved in this topic in general?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've shared it on a lot of podcasts I was a guest on. But it all started in 2007 when I was listening to a Blog Talk podcast, Sasquatch specific podcast called Campfire Shadows back then. And back then, I'm sure everyone in the Sasquatch community knows who Bear and Coonbo are. Well, back then, Bear, he was the host of the show, and then he had a co-host, Shane McMahon. Well, Bear, one night as I'm listening, he announced that he was going to be stepping away from the show. He wanted to spend more time in the woods, and I can respect that. So he said that because he was going to be stepping away, he needed to find a good replacement. And I'm just wondering when he said that, okay, who's going to replace him? Because he's a pretty unique guy and did a great job, I thought, on the show. Well, the next thing I know, he's saying, I think I know exactly who would be a good replacement for me. I think Vic Cundiff would be a good replacement. And I'm thinking, what in the world? That just came out of the blue. He never took it up with me before he said that. I thought, wow, you've got to be kidding me. I can't do this. So he got with me after the show and asked me about it. And I told him I was going to need to think about that. So I did. I thought about it. And then I decided, yeah, I'll give this a try. I love the topic, so why not give it a try? So yeah, before I knew it, I was a co-host on the show with a now deceased, unfortunately, Shane McMahon. And I was a co-host on that show for 2 years. And while I was co-hosting that show, again, Campfire Shadows, there was an outing that Coonbo and Bear went out on one weekend. And when they came back, somebody in that party that was with them saw what they said was a dog-faced booger. And I thought, what, a dog-faced booger? I knew what a booger was. That's a southern term for a Sasquatch, but what's a dog-faced booger? Well, after the show, I got with either Coonbo or Bear, and they told me it was what's called a dogman. So I put some research into it because I was already into Sasquatch, but when I put research into the whole Dogman phenomenon, what had drawn me to the Sasquatch phenomenon was multiplied by a factor of 10 or more with the whole Dogman side of things. So I thought it didn't take long to realize, okay, if you have a bad encounter with a Sasquatch, you can almost go to your corner grocery store and find someone to give you help, coming to terms with it. But if you encounter one of these dogmen things, dog-faced boogers or dogmen, where do you go to get help? I thought, you know what, there's a real need here. So yeah, years later down the road, I put the pieces in place to bring dogmanencounters.com online. And then before too long after that, I had people contacting me from all over. And then a year or so after that, on August 22nd of 2014, I aired the first episode of the show of Dogman Encounters Radio and haven't looked back since. Since 2007, when I spoke with my first Dogman eyewitness, I've literally spoken with 5,000 Dogman eyewitnesses or more. So it's been a wild ride.
Wow.
Good Lord. Now, do you...
I just try to get 2 people on Bigfoot a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand. It's not easy sometimes.
Do you still, or do you go out in the field at all? Do you actually go looking for them?
I don't go looking for them, but I've literally walked hundreds of miles through the big woods here. So yeah, I do spend time in the woods, and I hear what people say about me being crazy for going out there. Most of the time I've been out there in the big woods, I haven't been armed, haven't had anyone else with me. And I know what people say about how crazy that is, but I do that because of what I know about dogmen. I mean, you're talking to somebody who's spoken with thousands of people who are caught dead nuts to rights by these things, but allowed to leave the encounter without a scratch. That right there tells me these things are not wired to rip us apart as soon as the opportunity presents itself. Now, some people are going to hear me say that. They always do. And they get it mixed up and they think, okay, well, Vic says that all dogmen are safe to be around, that dogmen never kill people. I've never said that, because if I did say that, that'd be a lie. I fully do believe that some dogmen are deviant. They're wired to be dangerous to people. They're wired to kill people as soon as the opportunity presents itself. But they're very rare. The numbers clearly show that that type of situation is very rare, very few and far between. If that wasn't the case, then I wouldn't have spoken with thousands upon thousands of people who were caught out of sorts like that by a dog man, but allowed to leave without a scratch. Yeah, the numbers clearly tell me that they're not wired as a whole to be that way. But also, you name a type of critter that doesn't have a deviant or deviant examples. There are deviant dogs, deviant horses, pigs, goats, cattle, people. You've got deviant examples of any species out there. So why should dogmen be any different? The most important thing about all that is that the exception to the rule, or is that the norm? And like I said, the numbers clearly show it's the exception to the rule. So that's why I say what I do. And if I'm talking about a sample size of 10 people, 20 people that I came to that conclusion on, well, that's unfounded. That's ridiculous. That's not nearly big enough of a sample size. But thousands upon thousands of people who are allowed to leave an encounter without a scratch, that size, that sample size, that clearly demonstrates a pattern. Where these guys, it's definitive. These guys they're not wired by nature to rip us apart as soon as the opportunity presents itself. If a dogman does that, then it's clearly the exception to the rule. It's clearly a deviant example of dogmen.
No, I absolutely agree. I've said the same thing about Bigfoot. When you look at all the reports that are out there, 99.9% are passive sightings. So that's extremely rare that you have something aggressive enough that it's, life-threatening. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. And like I said, I'll say it again, it's all in the numbers. If you have a really small sample size, you haven't proven anything. But if you have a huge sample size, then just like scientists, they don't run a test once, they run it time after time after time after time until it's been run a ridiculous number of times looking for a pattern. Okay, we've clearly established a pattern here that if you throw water on someone, they get wet. Or that's an oversimplification, but I mean, that's why I came to the conclusion that I did. It's a verifiable conclusion.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I get it all the time too. Richard does the same thing. I mean, most of the research we do is on our own, and people, we get warnings all the time. Hey, they're dangerous. You don't know what you're doing. You're putting yourself in danger, and blah blah blah. I just don't know how many times people have to have interactions with these things before people. I mean, show me the proof. First of all, if this is happening and they are these violent man-eating creatures, whether it's Dogman or Sasquatch, just show me the proof, right? Show me somebody. You're telling me that out of all these stories, nobody took a Polaroid picture of a scratch or a bump or a bruise or anything, So I'm with you on that one, Vic.
See, what you said right there, that's the thing. I'm so tired of people trying to lie their way onto the show. It seems like anytime someone comes forward with the latest dogman attack story, it always falls apart upon closer examination. The latest example of that, there was a guy who, I forgot where this supposedly happened. I guess it was West Virginia. He contacted me and he told me about how he was riding a horse with a group of friends in West Virginia or Kentucky, and they're riding up this gradual slope. He was the last in line, and I guess they were almost done when all of a sudden this 9-foot or a 10-foot tall dog man comes walking up alongside of him on his horse. It slashed him across the chest and knocked him backwards off of his horse. And because of the wound, he had to go to the hospital. Well, when he contacted me to tell me about this, I said, wow, if that happened, did you take photos of the wounds? And he said, yeah, I sure did. I said, okay, well, I'm glad you did that. Would you mind sharing that photo or the photos with me? He said, sure. He said, I don't have it on this phone. I've got it on my phone at home. When I get home from work, then yeah, I'll send those pictures to you. I said, well, great. Well, after I got off the phone with him, through a connection, that connection basically set it up where they knew two very experienced trauma surgeons whose specialty out there in Colorado, where they're based, their specialty is to operate on attack victims of large predators, mountain lions, bears. And with that in mind, who better to evaluate the legitimacy of photos like this guy said he was going to send me? Well, I'm not one to take evidence like that and pass it on without permission first. So I contacted this guy back after that was set up with the 2 trauma surgeons, and I told him what I wanted to do. I said, hey, I've got 2 trauma surgeons out in Colorado lined up who are more than willing to look at your photos if I send them to them and give me their professional opinion on whether the photos match up with what you described happened to you. Would you be okay with me sending those photos over to them? He left skid marks getting out of there. He wanted no part of me sending those pictures. And that's pretty much the way it happens every time. Every time. Now, if someone does get attacked, if they want to come on the show, by all means, come on. But yeah, I mean, why make up lies like that? That's why so many people, they take exception to, hey, Sonny, that's why so many people take exception to me putting it out there that the numbers clearly show that these guys are not wired as a whole to be dangerous and try to rip people apart as soon as the opportunity presents itself. The heart of the problem is there's so many people who listen to these podcasts, who listen to bogus podcasts, that every week there's a new Dogman attack victim coming on talking about how they were attacked. Bogus stories that are just made up because it's obvious. Fear sells. If you put out stories like that, more people are going to listen. You're going to get more views and line your pockets. So money is more important to you than the truth. But people listen to that bunk, and then all of a sudden they're convinced, okay, well, this must be true. Dogmen must be so dangerous. So Vic's wrong about this. And no, I believe that they're so deadly. And as soon as the opportunity presents itself, they will rip you apart. Think about how many hunters you know who've spent so much time in the woods. They come back every time. Sasquatch researchers heading into areas, they probably don't know it, but heading into areas with dogmen out there, they come back every time. People do go missing, but that's not on the regular. So just something to
No.
think.
No, I absolutely
No,
agree.
it's like with the, if you'll notice, a lot of the most popular personalities and channels, they always go down the road of, or in the direction of things that cannot be proven. Like there is definitely a fear factor, an entertainment factor, and there's always this built-in out in order to, you can literally, if you've got a good personality, you can tell a good story and you're halfway believable, you can literally make things up as you go, specifically things that cannot be proven, and you're going to end up with 60,000 followers. People just love the entertainment value of all this. And it seems like the more far out things are, the more people are, enthralled by the whole idea.
Oh, definitely. Everyone loves a car crash. If you manufacture one and present it as being a true car crash, then yeah, it's going to draw more people yet. I agree.
Yeah, I've been one of the guys that's always said that I won't promote anything, and there's a particular person out there that I've already discussed in the past that promotes fear of the woods. I don't want anybody scared to go out in the woods. I want people camping and fishing and hiking and biking and all that, taking their cell phones. That way, if they have an opportunity to spot one of these cryptids, they get an opportunity to take a video or something like that. But I won't promote anything that's fear. You know what I mean?
No, I respect that. There are things out there that will harm you, possibly, but yeah, you're not going to do yourself any good by being terrified out there. It's just a good idea to be wary, keep an eye out, and try to enjoy the woods. The big woods I go into, it's just like a Holiday Inn for dogmen, for Sasquatch, but I come back every time. I've been in the woods at night. I've been in that woods during the day, walked all over it. I mean, if these things were so dangerous, they've had who knows how many opportunities to do whatever to me. But I'm still here because they're not wired to be so dangerous as a whole.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and that's what like I said earlier with Dogman. It's just it's that whole as a child growing up and watching, American Werewolf in London and all those werewolf movies that were popular back in the 80s and stuff like that, big or Dogman or werewolves and stuff like that, it creates a fear. You know what I mean? It's a monster, and it's something to fear in the woods, and it's always portrayed as something that attacks and kills and destroys. And I'm like you. I've spent many, 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 many times out, many hours in the woods, camping and hiking and stuff like that. And I'm more scared of the natural things like Florida panthers, bears, hogs, stuff like that might do me harm than I would a Bigfoot or anything else.
Yeah, it's wise to be that way. Sasquatch, Dogmen, they're intelligent. They know what comes along with dispatching a person. The area is going to be flooded with people, and they don't want that. So,
No.
yeah, I mean, that would explain. That's one of the reasons why I think a mountain lion or some other predator, big predator, is more likely to hurt you than a Sasquatch or a Dogman. Again, does it happen? Yeah, Dogmen, Sasquatch, I'm sure they do hurt people, but yeah, it's not a regular thing in my opinion.
Yeah, and I did, because I'm always constantly researching stuff, always looking at stuff. I spent a lot of time doing that. And I did the whole, how many people actually are disappearing in the wilderness, national parks, state parks, whatever. And and anybody can Google this, the very first, let's say, documented somebody went missing, I want to say it was back in the 1800s. Since then to present, it's only been about 380 people. So it's not as often. It's not these numbers that people keep saying that it's thousands a year and stuff like that. That's just not true. So like you said, if it does happen, it's a very, very rare occurrence. Very rare.
That's something to definitely keep in mind.
Vic, during the process of doing your podcasts and shows over the years, have you ever come across any convincing either video or pictures of either a Sasquatch or a Dogman?
Yes and yes. Yeah, definitely. The video side, I haven't really seen, well, I've seen convincing videos online, but what's been shared with me that's so impressive was a video of a Dogman that it blew my socks off. That was really early in the span of episodes of Dogman Encounters when this video was shared with me. I just aired episode 6 of Dogman Encounters when somebody contacted me to let me know that they lived in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. And back then, either they knew or a friend of theirs knew about a Dogman or Dogmen, plural, who hung out in this particular area, at least some of the time. So either this guy or a friend of his strapped a game cam to a tree trunk that was one of the more expensive game cams that you could set to actually film when it detects motion, not just snap a photo, it would actually film. Well, the footage he sent to me via a private YouTube link, it showed a Dogman that came into view from left to right. Its coat was like a grayish base color it was kind of flecked at the tips with kind of like a chocolate brown, black, had chocolate brown and black tips here and there, kind of like a coyote's or a timberwolf's coat. But clear as day, broad daylight, sunny sky. I don't think there are any clouds. In the afternoon, you can clearly see it come into view from left to right, and it wound up walking and stopping right between the camera lens and this bait that he hung about 5 feet away from the camera lens. It was so close to the camera when it stopped, I could pick out individual hairs. Well, it stopped, rotated, so its right shoulder rotates away. Now you can see its right shoulder blade. Now you see its back as it goes for the bait. So I got to see it from the front. I saw it from the back. I contacted this guy who was a guest on episode 6. I think it was episode 6 of Dogman Encounters. His name is Richard Eady. And Richard Eady, he's known in the Bigfoot community for taking in evidence like that, evaluating it, and giving his opinion on whether it's legit or not. Well, I asked Richard if he'd be interested in evaluating this footage for me. If I got permission where I could actually send it to him. He said, well, heck yeah. He said, I'd love to do that. So I contacted the guy back who had sent me that footage. I said, okay, well, I basically explained what was going on. And the guy said, sure, yeah, you can share it with him. So I sent Richard that private link, and I asked him to wait before he watched it so I could kind of sync with him. So the moment he pressed click, he clicked on that video to start watching it. I could click on the copy and we could watch it at the exact same time. Well, when he started watching it, it just blew him away. The same way it blew me away. And he noticed things in that video I didn't notice. And I actually noticed some things in that video that he didn't notice. But yeah, that's by far and away the most impressive evidence that has ever been shared with me. But yeah, photos that would blow you away, they've been shared with me. There's all sorts of really good evidence out there, but it's not in your best interest if you do have really good evidence like that to put it out there, because if the government, they don't want any part of their existence being proven. So there's going to be a lot of blowback if you do start putting really good evidence out there like that for the masses to see. I do try to warn people when I got into this. Mission number one was to protect the eyewitnesses. If someone that I speak with who contacts me has really good evidence like that, I make sure they understand the risks they're taking if they do try to broadcast that evidence to the masses. So, yeah, I mean, the government, the fact they'll do anything to make sure that their existence isn't proven, that's why their existence hasn't been proven. You're never going to be able to beat the government with all their resources.
When in that video, was it bipedal?
Yes.
Wow.
What did the head look like? Did it look more like a wolf or more like a German Shepherd? Or
Well, the head looked like a mix between, kind of a mix between a wolf. Yeah, not even anything like that. It was, if you took a wolf and mutated the head, the muzzle, all that stuff, that's kind of the best way to describe it. It's really hard with words to describe what its head looked like. Definitely a canid head that, I guess it didn't look distorted. It had a canid type head that looked wild. It definitely had a wild look to its head, but yeah, the proportions were definitely different from any canids that we've seen.
yeah, well, that's actually kind of shocked me about our sightings that we had out at our research area. The Sasquatch we saw, it did not look like what I had expected after hearing the stories and the descriptions and everything else for a couple of years before actually having those sightings. It just didn't look like what I expected at all. It didn't look anywhere near as like human like as I thought it was going to look. It had a longer snout, and I wouldn't say it was a dog man or anything, but it kind of caught me off guard. Was that kind of how it was with you?
Yeah, it does tend to catch you off guard, doesn't it?
Yeah, yep.
Do you
I've
think
got a
any of them are
question for-
misidentified?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you think any of them are misidentified, that they may be a Sasquatch just with more of a bulbous facial features, a slight snout or whatever, and then it's just mistaken as a bipedal dogman, or in some cases, or are they all pretty distinct that it's a dogman versus a Bigfoot?
Well, there are some that are seen from such a distance at night when the lighting is poor enough where they don't know for sure what it was they saw. But yeah, the morphology of a dogman is so different from that of a Sasquatch. If they're close at all and if you have any light, there's no mistaking the two. I mean, think about the profile of a German Shepherd's head, how those ears are going to stick up, and you're going to see them no matter what, unless they have their ears pinned. But yeah, the shape of that head is still going to be different in profile, a lot different in profile than a Sasquatch's head. I mean, it's laughable when I hear people, you're not doing this, but it always cracks me up when people try to explain away their existence. How everyone who ever saw a dogman actually saw a Sasquatch that they misidentified. What about the people who were just 10 feet away from one, 15 feet away from one with plenty of light? They misconstrued the digitigrade style legs that They told me they saw hocks and stifle joints, exactly like what you would find in a dog or a horse. That's what they reported seeing instead of knees and ankles, the way a Sasquatch would have. You're going to tell me they didn't see that correctly from 10 feet away, 15 feet away? The head. They reported seeing ears, clearly seeing ears standing up on top of the head with little tufts on top of the tips. Yeah, it's just ridiculous the lengths that some people will go to try to do what they can to explain away their existence. They definitely are real, and that's all there is to it. And I see there's a post in the chat from Thomas Tomlin, and I don't think he's being snarky about this, but he's making a statement about how he's 71 years old and he's spent all this time out in the woods, but he's never seen anything. Well, I'm glad of that, number one. But some people who do get snarky, they try to tell me that.
Hey, Vic, that's not the same guy from earlier, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay, just making sure.
No.
But yeah, some people, they do get snarky with that angle, and I'll ask them, have you ever seen a kestrel before? A kestrel is a type of predatory bird. It's the smallest predatory bird in North America. It's found in other places in the world too, but it's the most numerous, smallest predatory bird in North America. It's smaller than falcons, smaller than hawks, but again, it's the most numerous predatory bird. We've all seen hawks before. Most of us have seen falcons, but you wouldn't believe how many people who say, well, I've never seen a Sasquatch. I've never seen a dog man, and I've been in the woods for 500 years. And then when I ask them, you ever seen a kestrel? A what? A kestrel, a little predatory bird that can hover. They can actually hover in place. And they say, no, I've never seen anything like that. Well, your theory about being in the woods all this time, you've never seen a dog man, you've never seen a Sasquatch, that falls on its face then. That's a perfect example how that doesn't mean anything, because guess what? Kestrels are proven to be in existence. They're, again, the most numerous predatory bird in North America. There are more kestrels in North America than hawks, falcons, you name it. But you still haven't seen one. So
I've never even heard of one before, Vic.
Is that the bird that catches like lizards and frogs and stabs them on thorny branches?
I'm not sure what their behavior is like, what they eat, but yeah, that might be what you're talking about, describing there. But yeah, they can actually hover. I saw one back behind the house here a few years ago.
Well,
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
That's ridiculous. The amount. First of all, somebody who's witnessed these things, anybody who says that, you're just wrong. And it's one of the most arrogant statements I've heard people make while doing this, to think that because you haven't experienced something in your life. I mean, how many millions of acres are there in the United States of America? And because you got a handful of individuals that have, just been covered a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the areas of the United States of America, because they haven't experienced it. Thousands of other people who have don't matter, don't count. Every one of them's lying because you haven't. That's not how you go about proving things. Because I haven't seen it, it's not real. It's crazy to me. And it's the most common. It is the most common thing people bring up, and it's usually from hunters. And that's why I love interviewing hunters, because there's thousands of hunters out there who have seen these things, whether it's Dogman or Sasquatch.
Yeah, I've said the same thing, Vic, where here in South Florida we have, and I know for a fact without a shadow of a doubt that we have Florida panther in the research area that I go into. And I leave trail cams out there all the time for weeks at a time, and yet have caught a Florida panther on camera. Yet we know it exists. We know it's out there. Other people have seen it, but yet I have yet to catch it on a trail cam. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means I am unlucky and I have not had that opportunity. But there's a great comment made by the late Kerry Arnold when he made the comment when somebody made the same thing a hunter said to him, I've been hunting for 30 years and I haven't seen it. And he said, he did it in two parts. He says, well, are you looking for it? Which made a lot of sense, because when you're out hunting, you're looking for signs of deer. You're focused on deer, so you don't see the things that are outside of that spectrum. And then Carrie made a comment, and it was a joke, but it rang true. You're hunting for deer until you come across a snake. Now you're looking for snakes. See what I'm saying? So until it happens,
No, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, because you haven't caught it on film, that doesn't prove a thing.
Right. But we continue to try. And I'm a big video guy. I want to catch video. That's the key thing. That I do a lot of video. I don't do a lot of pictures and stuff. I take nature photos, and I have a collection of those, but that's not something I share a lot online. But that's relaxing to me. As I'm hiking, I see beautiful scenery, and I love taking photos of it. But when I'm looking for Bigfoot or skunk ape or whatever they want to call it here, it's video. That's what I focus on, because I'm big that video answers a lot more questions than a still picture.
Yes, it does.
So in your research, talking to all these people and your own experiences being in the woods, where are the hot spots? So if somebody's out there that says, I want to experience a Dogman encounter, where would you recommend they go?
Well, it used to be up in Michigan and Wisconsin, Minnesota, that area. But anymore, the hottest areas are centered around Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, some parts of West Virginia, and Tennessee, in that general area. Those are the hottest areas right now. But I get reports in from all over the place. I mean, I think pretty much every state I've had encounters come in from. But understand, I mean, I don't bat an eye if I have 3-4 brand new Dogman encounters come in one day. Some days I've had as many as 7 or 8 brand new Dogman encounters come in from people I've never spoken with before. So that's why I've dealt with the volume of eyewitnesses I've dealt with over the years. Speaking of that, you deal with all sorts of characters doing what I do. I never will forget, about 3 years ago, I had this guy contact me. He submitted a report to dogmanencounters.com supposedly wanting help with his Dogman encounter. So I contacted him to schedule a phone consultation. Well, the time came for me to call him that we had scheduled. So I called him up, and first thing right off the bat, before I talk about anything, then he said, before I talk about anything, I want to establish something. He said, what are your credentials when it comes to dogmen? I said, my credentials? And he said, yeah. He said, I'm not just going to talk to anybody about my Dogman encounters. So I thanked him for his time. Thank you so much. But I mean, I probably can't help you. But yeah, some of the characters you deal with, holy cow.
Oh man, that's pretty rough. I've run into quite a few weird things before, but never been asked for my credentials before.
Yeah.
You should have told him. You should have told him, well, this is, a couple thousand reports. How about that?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. Yeah. See, Thomas, he thought I was calling him snarky, even though I said a couple of times clearly that I wasn't calling him snarky, that certain other people are snarky. And I think I lost you a listener for tonight's show. So sorry about that.
Well, if I had $1 for every listener we lost, I'd probably be retired right now.
No, actually, for those of you, you notice I asked Vic. He's pretty much has a stalker that comes on and trolls every podcast he's on, and that's what I was asking, if that was the same guy, because he was on here before. But no, I don't think Vic was talking about him at all. It's just in general. And yes, it does, having to deal with the doubt over and over again, especially when you've dedicated your life to something, they're real, and you've seen them, it can wear on you, I mean, it can get frustrating. But also too, I remember back when I didn't know anything about these creatures at all, or in my case, Sasquatch, and being very skeptical of everyone and everything. And sometimes people just have to see it for themselves before they can believe, you know. But there's bound to be some hurt feelings every once in a while.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what
What's
about?
nice is when
Go ahead, Vic. Sorry.
Oh no, that's my fault there. What's nice is when you get to the point where you don't care. Just like that guy who he wanted to know my credentials before he would let me try to help him with his Dogman encounters. I mean, yeah, I had long since been to the point where I didn't care. If someone wants me to help them with their Dogman encounters, help them come to terms with them, heck yeah, I'll climb Mount Everest to try to help them. But if they don't want the help, I'm not going to bend over backwards to help somebody who doesn't want that help.
What are some of the things that you do to help them in that aspect when they call you and say, "Hey, I got a problem"?
Well, when someone has a difficult situation that they're dealing with, something traumatic that happens to them in day-to-day life, normally they can work their way through things and get to the point where they're back to good because they're not traumatized by it. They're not so set off of their game that they can't analyze what happened accurately. But when people have Dogman encounters, it just sets them off so much that in most cases, especially if it's a really traumatic encounter, they just don't wind up seeing that encounter, or as it sometimes happens, the encounters they've had accurately. In a lot of cases, they see it as them getting away. Thank goodness. And they'll tell me time after time, if I had a nickel for every time I had an eyewitness explain to me basically in so many words that the reason why they're still here is because they were able to get away from that dog man when it stepped out from behind that tree 15 feet from them, 500 yards from the truck. And thank goodness I was able to outrun that dog man all 500 yards back to the truck. And thank goodness, Vic, I was so fast of a runner in college, I was all state. And every time, Vic, I was so fast, I was running so fast, Vic, every time I'd look over my shoulder, that dog man was 6 feet behind me. The whole 500 yards back to the truck, it was 6 feet behind me, Vic. Thank goodness I was fast enough to stay 6 feet in front of that dog man the whole 500 yards back to the truck. Now, clearly, they're so traumatized that they can't see the forest for the trees, that this thing was clearly messing with them. It was doing what dogmen do. These guys will go miles out of their way to traumatize an eyewitness to within an inch of their life. And then once they can see that's happened, that's been accomplished, okay, well, I got what I wanted, move on. And that reminds me of a funny story, a quick story to share. When I was a kid, there was this rabbit that used to spend all sorts of time in the backyard, had a really big backyard there. We called him Peter Rabbit. And I was pretty darn small when he was alive and hanging around back there. Well, one of my favorite things to do was I'd go back there and I'd try to catch him. Well, I would run and run and run after him. And no matter what I did, I'd be about 8 to 10 feet behind him. Well, the year after that, when I'm bigger and stronger and faster, I'd run and run and run after him. Same thing, 8, 10 feet behind him. Year after that, I can't remember how many years I did that, but I kept getting bigger and stronger and noticeably faster. I was still 8 to 10 feet behind him. What in the world's going on here? Well, one day when Mom's sitting on the patio watching me carrying on, finally, I just had it. I walked over to the patio and I just flopped down next to her and she hadn't said a thing. So I look over and she's beat red in the face. I thought, oh boy, yeah, she's laughing at me. So I asked her, I said, why are you laughing at me? And she said, okay, how long have you been chasing him? And I told her, and she said, well, how close do you get when you started doing this? How close were you getting to him? 8, 10 feet. Well, what about now? You're so much faster now than you were when you started. How close do you get? 8 to 10 feet. And she's just sitting there looking at me, just smiling. And then I put 2 and 2 together and realized, okay, well, yeah, he's messing with me. Okay, I understand what's going on now. And I was beyond pissed then. Once I realized what was going on, I was pissed. I was knocking desks over pissed. But
I had a
that's what you
similar
do.
thing happen when I was a kid, and I can't remember how I was young. I don't know, 10 years old, and living in Tampa, and the school bus would drop me off at the bus stop, and this Irish setter would chase me every single day home, and I would just make it to the door, unlock it, and get it because I was a latchkey kid. Get inside the house and slam the door shut. And then one day I wasn't paying attention, and he was right on me, and I started running, and I knew I wasn't going to make it. And I turned around, I looked at him, I yelled, "Stop!" And he stopped and sat down. And I was like, all this time I could have done that. You know?
Thank goodness you ran into the right dog then.
Well, I think
Yeah.
Irish setters are not known to be aggressive anyways, but I was just a kid. I didn't know, so.
That's funny. So what about Vic? You knew any good stories from Georgia?
Oh, it's just a blur. When you talk with so many eyewitnesses, it really is just so hard to remember where this person's encounter happened, that person's encounter, and it's so hard to keep the details straight. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't recall.
Oh,
where it came from.
I don't blame you, man. I was fishing for information like I'm always doing, hoping that maybe you had some kind of inside info for me. But yeah, I
Well,
get that. That's a lot of. I mean, that's a lot of reports that you've taken over the years.
Well, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Dogman guy because I'm so caught up into Bigfoot. But I have listened to your shows, and I'm pretty sure the two stories that really stick in my head, one of them in particular, was probably from your show because you would probably be the only one that I actually listened to as far as Dogman went. But a guy it's a long story, but at one point he's in a side-by-side cruising down this, I guess, a gravel road, and a Dogman is literally running right beside him. And it literally reaches out as it's running and grabs the front of the side-by-side and slows him down, like grabs hold of it and starts to slow him down to the point where I think if I remember right, the guy pulled a gun, shot the thing in the shoulder, and it let go, and he took off and stuff like that. I don't know if you remember that story, but I'm pretty sure it was one of yours because it'd probably be the only show I listened to is your podcast.
Yeah, that's episode 190 with Brandon. I forgot
you
his last
remember.
name, but yeah, that's Brandon and his neighbor. I think his neighbor's name was Neil. I think his name was Neil. The neighbor was riding with him that night, but yeah, that was Brandon who did that, episode 190.
That was a very scary episode. Very scary.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one of the most popular episodes ever of the show. Episode 117 is definitely by far and away the most listened to episode, if I remember right, of the show. But
Tell us
yeah,
a little bit about that. Kind of give us just a quick synopsis of that episode.
Well, episode 117 was when a guest named JT, he was a government official, so he wanted to remain anonymous. JT came on and talked about an encounter he had when he was younger. I think he was in his late teens, maybe early 20s. Well, late one night, he decided to drive his hot rod Dodge Coronet over to his girlfriend's house. He had left his parents' house to head over to her house, drove through the country, and I think there was a pretty strong moon out that night. He was driving next to this pasture, and that loud exhaust on his Coronet was just echoing through the countryside. And he thinks that's what drew the attention from the Dogman. But this Dogman, it detached itself as he's driving along this country road. There's a pasture to the right of it. And then on the other side of the pasture from the road was a tree line. Well, he said as he's driving, he's just enjoying the nice night. He's got the windows down when all of a sudden this shadow detached itself from the tree line and the shadow moved out into the pasture. And as he's looking and looking, he can see that it's a figure that's running kind of like at a diagonal to intercept his course of travel. Well, it wound up being a Dogman that it cut diagonally across the pasture and hopped over the fence and came down into the ditch and then up onto the road, and it's running next to his Coronet. The road had enough curves to it where he couldn't go too fast. So it was able to keep up with him, and it wound up sticking its head in the passenger side window, and it acted like it was trying to get him, but with as long as these guys' arms are, it could have grabbed him if it wanted to. But just like time after time, it was just trying to get a response out of him, trying to mortify him. And it did, understandably so. But yeah, the way he told that story, that experience, is just, it was masterful how he relayed the details of what happened to him. What he went through that night, horrible. You really have to feel for him.
Yeah, there.
Are you-
Another. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, I was just going to ask. So where do you come? How do I word this correctly? After everything that you've seen, or all the people you've talked to, do you believe that these are just flesh and blood creatures, or that there's something else to them, or what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
You're looking for episode 43, Adam Pierce. Well, when I first started doing this, I was convinced that they had to be just flesh and blood. But as time has gone by, after I've spoken with who knows how many very credible eyewitnesses who've reported seeing them do things that a flesh and blood creature wouldn't be able to do. Time after time, when you talk with eyewitnesses like that, it opens your eyes and you realize, okay, maybe there's more to this whole thing than you initially thought. And then again, you talk with so many credible eyewitnesses who report witnessing things that point soundly towards the ones they saw being flesh and blood creatures without any special abilities. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have some dogmen that are naturally occurring flesh and blood creatures that are just out there trying to make a living in the woods. And then you've got other dogmen who are supernatural beings, spiritual beings who do have all these special abilities that a flesh and blood creature wouldn't have. And then I wouldn't be surprised if you do have some government created dogmen out there as well, who were created in a test tube in a laboratory. So maybe the correct answer is you have different kinds of dogmen with different origins. I think that's the most accurate way to answer that question.
Very interesting. And one of the things that me and Johnny, we kind of give precedence to is prior military, anybody who's a veteran and stuff like that. And you had an episode where, because anytime it deals with vets, my eyes pop up because I'm a veteran and Johnny's a veteran, and you kind of pay attention to those guys. Where a guy was on a base hunting, and I always picture Camp Lejeune because I used to hunt Camp Lejeune when I was younger. And him and another guy were sitting in. It wasn't a blind. It was actually a structure that was there for this bombing area where they had tanks and different things that they would bomb and stuff like that. But it was open for hunting because they weren't bombing in that area. And this thing had come out on all fours, was walking across that target range on all fours until it got to one of those tanks or whatever they were bombing, and it grabbed hold of it, lifted itself up on two legs, and then walked around it and then continued off bipedal. And him and another guy were hunters. They were watching this through their scopes. Those are the stories that get me. Like it's simple, but it's one of those ones that just, like I said, it just breeds fear.
Yeah, that was episode 362 with Chance.
Good God, you got a memory on you there, Vic.
I know. I'm like, I'm going to stump him where he says, I don't remember that episode.
Let me tell you something. The day of my sighting, April 12th, 2022, I wrote it on my whiteboard and had to keep it up there a year before I could remember it just without thinking about it. And every time he brings something up, Vic's like, yeah, that's episode 722. That's episode 19. And all their names and all that. I met a guy that I won't say who he is, but he knew all the people from Finding Bigfoot, and he was one of those dudes. I have never in my life, I sat down with him, and it's like he had a photographic memory for every single Bigfoot sighting all over the United States. Could tell you the state, the time, the weather, the people involved, the grandmother's name, and I was just absolutely amazed. I personally, that's not my strong suit, but
it's not mine either. We got 35 episodes, and I can't remember everybody we interviewed.
Yeah, That's pretty impressive, though.
Oh, well, don't think I can do that with many episodes. You just named
Well,
some episodes that just really stand out there in my mind as far as who was on it and whatnot.
Right.
well, John Stewart's putting you to the test. I put his question or his comment up there. Throw a number out there. We can't prove you're wrong.
I know who he's talking about. I sent that eyewitness over to Terror in the Woods. He was featured on Terror in the Woods with his brother. I'm trying to remember his name. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he was, like you said, he was going down the river and
Oh,
this
wait,
dog-
Vic. Oh, Vic. Oh, no.
Oh, I'm gonna lose sleep tonight.
Oh, I think I'm going to cry. Oh,
Yeah, poor
no.
guys.
He unsubscribed.
Which is funny
Oh.
because you were not giving the guy a hard time at all. You actually told him he wasn't one of the snarky ones. And you answered his question. You know what I mean, or addressed his comment. You know, that's
I told him more than once too. Yeah, that's one of the things I have to deal with is some people just don't have any listening comprehension skills whatsoever. And that's one of the reasons why I said it more than once, just in case he didn't have strong or even moderately strong listening comprehension skills, just to make sure he would know that I wasn't saying he was snarky, but
right.
yeah, you can
I
only
lost
do
this
so
with-
much.
I lost a subscriber one time because in one of my research videos, I said the word hog. And I was talking about this dead hog I found that was 25 pound dead hog with broken legs. And it was a woman, and she went off on me in the chats saying that I'm unsubscribing because you're a liar. Hawks don't get that big. I didn't say hawks. I said hog. So now when I'm out videoing, I have to say the word pig. So people, you know what I mean? I told her, I'm sorry to lose you. Sorry to lose you, but, you know, I am Southern.
Oh,
I got one. I was doing that night I was going to do a live, and I decided I had a short period of time there where I was climbing up to the tops of trees and hanging out there and nothing ever happened. It was such a waste of time. But anyway, I had posted and I had climbed up in this tree, and I had my wife take a picture of me in the tree for like the thumbnail. And I said, yeah, I'm going live from the treetops tonight. And then there's a lady that came in the comment section, and she said, that's not a Bigfoot. I can see it's wearing blue jeans. I'm like, it's because it's me in a tree. Of course it's got blue jeans on. Yeah, you can't make everybody happy. But anyway, continue on, Vic. Sorry to interrupt you. I just thought that was funny. Very sensitive individuals.
Yeah, there definitely are. It never fails to be that way. But so that you know, I'm going to need to get out of here soon.
Yeah, man. We just appreciate you being on. And I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit, just the short conversations that we have had. And, you know, I appreciate you having me on your podcast. So thank you very much for coming on ours. And you are a wealth of knowledge. And, you know, I'm glad they've got a professional out there dealing with dogmen, because I've always considered myself a brave individual. But, you know, it's just something about dogmen that they just strike fear into people's hearts, you know? And a lot of times with Sasquatch, it's not like that. But dogmen, for whatever reason, dogmen just scares the crap out of people.
Yeah, that's what I said. I hope, in my mind, I tell myself it does not exist, so I can continue going in the woods.
Well, it's not your fault. I mean, we've been programmed to be terrified of things that look like them. Think about all the movie werewolves we grew up watching, and it's been hammered into our heads that something that looks like that is a dangerous monster that's going to kill you as soon as the opportunity presents itself. So it's only normal, it's only natural that when you see a dogman, which looks like, guess what, that you're going to respond that way. So yeah, that's to be expected. It's just one of those unfortunate things, but you know, that's how it works.
Well, before you go, I'd like to at least let the chat room, because we have a very active chat room tonight, an opportunity to ask a couple questions. We won't do a lot, but a couple questions. If you don't mind, if you want to take a couple questions from the audience.
Sure.
Okay, guys, if you do a question, please put it in caps, and I'm not going to get to all of them, but I will put as many as Vic feels open to share with. So we'll see. My thing is like I said, it's I have not personally heard of any Dogman encounters or any proof here in Florida, so I think I'm happy. It sounds like it's more the middle of the United States. Like I said, we always hear about the LBL. You know what I mean? So I'll stay away from LBL.
No, you have them down there in Florida as well, unfortunately, but they're all over. They really are.
Thanks. Thank you, Vic. I'll sleep well tonight.
All right, Adam Pierce, do you have any advice on what to do and what not to do if you come across one while in the woods?
I do. Treat it just the same way you would handle an encounter with a big, dangerous dog, a big, aggressive dog, or a bear. Don't do anything to make it think you're challenging its dominance. Don't run. Don't do anything that makes yourself look like prey, and avoid eye contact at all costs. And if you do the best you can to treat it the same way, then that really is the best you can do in a situation like that. But just know that, yeah, if you do encounter like a brown bear, a grizzly, you're much more likely to have trouble with a brown bear, a grizzly, than you are with one of these things. Because, I mean, the odds of you being attacked by a brown bear are so much higher than your odds of being harmed by a dogman. It's not even funny. So easier said than done, but try to keep that in mind.
All right, Mr. William Athos.
Lenny.
Is that excellent trail camera video available anywhere to watch?
No, it's not. Not that I know of. At least back then, it was a private link to the YouTube video. If you have a YouTube channel, then you already know that you can label videos as public. Anyone can just go to your channel and watch your video. You can also label it as private, or you can label it as unlisted. Unlisted, if you know the URL, then you can still watch it, but you have to know the specific website address to access it. Well, that's how he had that video. He sent me the link to that video, and that's how I was able to watch it. So yeah, back then he was determined to keep it private, which I told him I thought that was a good idea. And yeah, I didn't really speak with him after that. I didn't stay in communication with him. He just wanted me to take a look at that and let him know what I thought about it. But yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think it ever was made public. And if it was, I've seen videos like that were really impressive, but they get taken down so quick, it's not even funny. So if he did make it public, yeah, it wasn't public for long.
Right.
All right, last question. We'll let you go. Do you have any knowledge of the water treatment building in Greenville, Georgia?
No, I didn't hear about that. But then again, I'm not a researcher. I just focus on the work that's in front of me. If someone contacts me and they want help with their encounter, or some people contact me just because they want to be a guest on the show. So I just keep my nose down and I just focus on the work that is presented to me. I don't actively research dogmen. I don't look for new encounters. I don't do anything like that. I don't watch dogman shows. There's no novelty to it to me. So yeah, I don't tend to know about things like that. That this encounter happened over there, or this encounter happened over here. I just don't really tend to find out about that.
What I can tell you, Vic, if you ever see my name pop up saying that I want to talk about a dogman encounter, you better take it serious, because it's way out of my norm, because I'll probably be freaking out.
Well, I mean, anybody who contacts me who wants help with their encounter, I mean, I'm all over it. That's what I live for. That's what I'm here for. I feel blessed to be in a position to be able to help the eyewitnesses come to terms with their encounters. You'll never know what kind of a rush I get when I talk with an eyewitness, where at the very beginning of the conversation, they're crying and they're just beside themselves. Guys too. I mean, some you can hear them shake and they're just so distraught and they're ruined. And then by the end of the conversation, they're laughing and they're having a good time and I really get that feeling that, you know what, everything's going to be okay. That's the kind of thing that sticks with you. That's the kind of thing that when you're laying in bed, looking at the ceiling before you doze off, you think about that and think how amazing it is to be in a position where you can even have a chance to do that sort of thing.
There was a guy we had on the show. He's related to the Landrys, from Swamp People. Chodum, that guy. His son, the main character on the, you see his son's on the show too. He had a Dogman encounter that I was trying to work out getting him on the show to talk about it, and that was in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of them down in Louisiana also.
Okay, not going to Louisiana now.
Yeah. All right, Vic. I know you run a tight schedule, man. So we're gonna let you go.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I got to go feed the animals and all, but thanks for having me on.
Man, it's really been our pleasure. I've really enjoyed this one.
Oh, it's outstanding. Fantastic show.
I have been watching intently the whole time, waiting for you to accidentally hit your camera button, though. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Kind of let me down a little bit, but whatever, man. We're good to go, Vic.
Very secretive. And that's what I told the guy in there. He ended up leaving. I ended up banning him anyways, but he made the comment, that Duffy guy or whatever you were talking about. He had jumped in and was making some negative comments. And everybody, Johnny himself, myself, whatever, but especially you, Vic, you deserve your privacy. And that's why you do things the way you do. We're small. We're under 500 subscribers. We've only been around for a year. You have, just on YouTube, I don't know what other platforms you're on, but you have 25,000 subscribers. And people don't realize is that can really interfere with your personal life. So all due respect, man, I wish I could do what you did. My cover's blown. Everybody sees me. But I think you're doing what's right for you, and I support that 110%.
Well, thanks for saying that. And it's just one of those things, guys, that eventually it's going to come out. This or that about me is going to come out, and that's expected. It's just one of those things. But what I do, the guests are number one, the eyewitnesses are number one, and they come first. And yeah, I'm just back in the background, and that's all there is to it. That's how I want it to be. Some people who are maladjusted, like Mr. Duffy, they're never going to accept that, but who cares what they think?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the FBI pays pretty well.
Exactly. I saw that. He was trying to say that I'm an FBI operative. What a kook.
Yeah, I knew you were seeing it, I was ignoring him for the most part because, he was making comments, but they weren't abusive. They weren't, I definitely, when they start using profanity or anything like that, I really draw the line. But, he was... he was semi-respectful, but then he kind of got snarky, and I was like, you know what, for the respect out of my guest, I'm just going to take him off. So I did.
Yeah, you'll have that sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, first person I ever had to remove.
All right, Vic. Again, man, we appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks again for having me, and if I can help you, let me know.
Well, if you ever want to talk Bigfoot, let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk Bigfoot with you.
Well, we're probably about to dump StreamYard and look for other options. So I might be hitting you up for some professional advice.
Sure. Yeah, I can help you with that.
Good to go. All right, man. Everybody in the chat, everybody who's watching, thank you very much. Vic, thank you. Richard, thank you. And I guess that's it for this evening.
No, thank you, Vic. You've been outstanding, and we're going to have you back.
I'll be back. No problem. Just say the word, and I'll be here.
Well, everybody forget you know a lot about Bigfoot too, so we didn't even go down that road that much.
Yeah, I've got 2 podcasts on Bigfoot, so I
did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, he does.
I did not know that because anytime I hear
Did you think he had me on his Dogman podcast?
I didn't know you were on his podcast until you said it. I always saw Vic Cundiff as the Dogman guy.
Oh, he's got tons of Bigfoot stuff too.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 Dogman podcasts. My new Dogman podcast is out now, and 2 Sasquatch podcasts. So yeah, that does
Go ahead and
keep you
promote
busy.
those channels, Vic. Go ahead and promote them. Tell everybody where they can go find all this stuff.
Well, Dogman Encounters is a girl that brought me to the dance. I've been airing episodes of that for over 10 years now. If you want to watch episodes of Dogman Encounters, it is available on YouTube, but the best way to listen to all my podcasts is via your favorite podcast application. If you don't have a favorite podcast application, then you can go to iHeartRadio, for example, and do a search for Dogman Encounters. Do a search for Dogman Tales. That's my new fictional Dogman podcast. Do a search for Bigfoot Eyewitness Radio or My Bigfoot Sighting. That's my newest Bigfoot podcast. But yeah, if you want to listen to any of my shows, like I said, I'd recommend listening to the podcast version.
That's awesome.
Very cool. All right, gentlemen, that's it.
Well, take care, Vic, and God bless you. I hope you have a great weekend and a Merry Christmas. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas.
Hey, you too. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you, Vic. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you.
All right.
All right,
Take
thanks.
care, Vic. Well, that was pretty interesting. I like that. You know what I mean? And he's got some interesting stuff. It's amazing he can remember all those different shows that he's put on.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely have him back for all the Bigfoot stuff.
Yeah, and just so the audience knows, this is just something that it was something of interest, and it's out of our norm. We are Bigfoot guys. That's what we do. That's what our research is based around and stuff like that. But we wanted to try something different. Just to because Vic Cundiff is a very big name in that arena.
Well, I tell you, when he had me on his podcast, I enjoyed. He's got the same kind of dry sense of humor I do, and it's just I really enjoyed talking to him, and he actually offered to come on before we even asked him.
Oh, wow.
So that was awfully nice of him. So we do appreciate that, and we got here. Please bring him on to speak about Bigfoot. Yes, Adam, we will try to hook that up.
You remember Adam Pierce? We had him on the show.
Oh yeah.
And then,
He was saying on Facebook that he would be here tonight. So.
Oh yeah, Adam's a great guy. He's one of the guests that we have. And there's a few of them in the chat room that we've become friends. You know what I mean? I know I can pick up the phone, give him a call, bounce something off or whatever, just have a conversation on cryptids. Adam is a great guy. So is Todd. His also the other host of his show, and other people that have popped up in the chat room and stuff. I think we've been lucky enough that all of our guests are actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everything's turned out pretty good. All right, man. Well, good show. Thank you for everyone who joined us. And let's see who we have next. We have Neil, right? Neil
Yes.
next.
Let's let everybody know. Let me look at my
18th.
calendar. Let me look at the calendar.
It's the 18th, isn't it?
Yes, Neil Ryder. So I'll be hitting him up probably this weekend, letting him know he's next on deck. We are going to take the following 2 weeks off because next week the week after Neil Ryder is Christmas. So we're not going to do a show on Christmas, and especially with Johnny's got this new baby and his family, and Christmas is a big holiday for him. And then the following Thursday is New Year's. So I figured we'd take New Year's off, but that's up to Johnny. If Johnny finds somebody, or if I find somebody, and we agree, maybe,
I didn't hear what you said. You
we do have
actually
some
broke up
opening
right there.
dates. Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that New Year's Day, so the next 2 weeks, or after Neil Ryder, the 2 weeks following that is Christmas and New Year's. So we don't have shows scheduled for those days. But as of January 8th is an open date. So if anybody has had an encounter or something like that,
Well,
and
well,
wants to jump
yeah,
on.
we'll see. We will have to see the property the guy been talking to. Um, Number one, I want to go hunting on his property. Number two, he's got private property where he thinks he's been having Sasquatch activity for years now. And I'm trying. I was supposed to go. I think it was last weekend or whatever. Then it rained, so I had to put the kibosh on that. So it's kind of up in the air. So we're gonna have to stay a little fluid with that one because I'm running out of time. Deer season's. I think it's either 11th or 15th is over with here.
Right.
So I'm probably only going to get like maybe one more trip, and hopefully that trip will be down there to his property because I really want to hunt, number one, and also want to meet him and take a good look at that property and see if we can't get something stirred up. So
Awesome. Yeah, I sometimes I miss hunting, sometimes, but I'm good with what I'm doing.
yeah, I hear you. All right, bud. You take it easy, and I will see all of y'all later.
All right, take care. Take care. All right, guys, fantastic show. You guys were awesome. We had one guy that we were warned ahead of the show that he would be popping on. He is a problem for Vic. And then the guy wants to question why Vic is incognito. Well, he's a living answer why Vic is incognito. So it's always good to show the guests respect and let them know that we respect their privacy. And anybody can come on the show like that. It's a very simple thing. I do it all the time where all of a sudden I'll go incognito or Johnny will go incognito. It's a very simple thing. So if you don't want your face shown, that's an easy thing to do. So again, guys, have a fantastic Christmas, fantastic New Year's. Remember, we do have a show next week. That'll be the last one for the year. We did our anniversary show last week. Please check it out. It was a lot of fun. We had some great guests, some great researchers here in the state of Florida, and one guest from Indiana. It was fantastic, a lot of fun. So please check that out. And please like and subscribe, leave a comment. Those things help us out. It really does. It puts us in the algorithms where our podcast pops up and people can see it. But again, if you have an encounter or you're a researcher and you want to talk about your research and stuff like that, feel free to email us at sasquatchunredacted@gmail.com. We will get back in touch with you and talk to you and try to schedule a time and date that we can have you on the show. So again, guys, God bless. Awesome. It was another great show. The chat room really, really does an outstanding job. And again, have a great holiday season, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.